Recording. Okay, so I'm so glad you guys are here. One of the reasons that Renee and I wanted to do this is because the two of us are on the same journey, and I think you'll find that our journeys are similar to yours. There are so many things in our life that have happened to all of us. Mainly, I'm just saying, like growing up or as adult in relationships, what we saw happen to other people. And because of that, we have created these negative responses to everyday life. So for instance, oh guys, can you hear the dog barking? No? Yes? Oh well.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So for instance, these negative responses are we've just naturally created in our life. And when there's things happen in our life, we go to what I would call muscle memory for the brain. So it's what we've learned, it's the behavior we've seen, it's what's been told to us, and we immediately go to this muscle memory of the brain. And I don't think sometimes we even know or even realize it. So the first thing you have to do is you have to identify what those negative voices and what we call limiting beliefs, because they're keeping you stuck. Where is that coming from? So like when you are trying to do a relationship, this business, make a change in something somewhere else in your life, and you hear this negative feedback, negative voice, where are you, how can I put this? Where are you currently now that you're hearing the negativity? Is it in a relationship? Is it in this business? Is it in life in general? And that's kind of where that's the starting point, is identifying where you find yourself currently with negative self-talk.
And I think one of the things too, especially with this business, for me personally, was I don't even know if I heard per se a negative self-talk or even recognized it. But now that I can see it back, I realized that I was holding back, especially on Instagram, because I was afraid of what everybody else would think of me. And I still catch myself not putting something up because of those thoughts in my head, but I never really realized that those thoughts were there and what they tied all the way back to. And like Bonnie and I were talking yesterday just about image, and maybe growing up, for me, it wasn't that my mom said anything on purpose, but for me there was things placed on me about weight as a child, and that I still carry with me to this day, that prevents me from putting my full self out there. So I think that's what Bonnie's getting at, is what are those things that maybe you don't even really realize resonate still from when you were a child, that could potentially be holding you back. Let's just use this business as an example, or it could be a relationship. But if you really think and start to notice those patterns, you can start to change them.
That's a great example, Renee, because obviously looking at you, you're going, weight problem? But it doesn't matter, because there's an Abe Lincoln quote that says, people are just as happy as they make their minds up to be. And that includes being happy with ourselves. So for me, the one thing that I was never told this either. No one ever said, shut up, Bonnie. No one ever said, we don't want to hear you, Bonnie. But what I was told was, just a minute. Yeah, we got that. You don't have to worry about that. So all of that being told to me growing up translated to, I don't have anything important to say. And so that was a huge limiting belief, a huge negative voice in my head that I had to work my way through. So the one thing I'd like you to do is, if you I know, Shelley, you're driving, but if you can think, or if you have a piece of paper, it's like, when you think of when you go to set out to do something, whether it's this business, whether it's make a phone call to someone, whether it's whatever it happens to be, and you stop yourself? Is it because of a personal experience you've had? So let's say, like, I went through a divorce. I am not real excited. I was not real excited to get married again. That was a painful experience. So let's say that was my own experience that I got the negativity. Hi, Charity. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Hey. So that was my own experience that gave me that negative voice in my head. Like, no one's ever going to marry me again. I blew it the first time. But you can also get those negative thoughts from other people. Watching your parents, watching even a friend or a relative. You can get them actually from watching the news. And all of a sudden you've decided that your life sucks as bad as what's going on the news. And if that person failed at it, then I shouldn't even try it. And then a lot of people will say this, it's in my DNA. That's exactly how my mom was. I'm just like my mom. Well, I'm gonna talk about the fact that that is such a flat out lie. I'm just going to call it out. It's a lie.
And then, talking about the limiting beliefs and if they're true. So, I mean, I know it's kind of crazy to think because we grow up a certain way and we follow all these same ways that we act and think. And then now that I can see it in myself, I'll ask my kids when they're fighting and they're saying, so-and-so said this about me, said that about me. I'll stop and I'll be like, is it true? And then they'll look at me like, well, no. So it's like we have to do the same thing with ourselves. Really, it's like, are all these things that we're saying about ourselves, even if you're not saying it out loud, but are all these things that we're saying and thinking and the negative words that we're putting to things, or like, I can't, I won't, I'll never be like so-and-so, is that really true? And if it's not, then you have to kind of transition and start to apply those positive words to it.
So I know that, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but if there's something that's popped in your head and you feel like, oh yeah, that rings true for me. My negative voices came from growing up, period. I was not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not big enough. No one was going to listen to me. And no one told me that, you guys. But those were my negative voices. Does anything resonate with you or any of you guys? And you don't have to share it out loud, but write it down if it resonates with you. We'll give you a minute.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
About a year and a half ago, this has really stuck with me, but someone said something to me, a gentleman friend. And what he said, now I won't date anymore. I'm afraid to date. So I have negative feelings inside about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, why bother,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would be from your own personal experience.
Yeah,
And it's so strange because it's real easy to say, oh, what he said isn't true. It's easy as adults, we can think that, but it's a whole different level to actually step out of the negative pathway and into a positive neural pathway.
One of the things I heard recently too that's really helped me is that right before you go to sleep at night is when you shouldn't be watching the news or reading anything negative, but also as you're going to sleep, if you're a person who likes to wear headphones and can fall asleep that way, I can't, but if you can always listen to a positive podcast or something like that. But if you're like me and you can't have any noise or anything, they say that that's the time to really start telling yourself what you are, like in the positive, because as you go to sleep, that's going to sit in your subconscious all night, and that's what you're going to dream about, that's what you're going to think about, and you're going to wake up with that positive mindset. And now it might not be an overnight success story like, ooh, now I'm positive and everything's gone, but it can start to help that transition, and you can really start to catch yourself in the moment because I'll drift back to the negative as I'm falling asleep, and then I have to pull myself back into the positive.
Mm-hmm. It's right up there, Renee, with you ever wake up at 2 a.m. and maybe your bladder woke you up and
Yeah.
you're in bed, and then all of a sudden your mind starts going about a situation or an issue, and you can't shut it off. Why are things always worse at 2 a.m?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing. And I like to say that what you believe to be true is true, and what you believe to be false is false. Mm-hmm. So, Kim, using the example, it's like whatever this individual said to you, probably, if you go back, probably was reinforcing some other verbal or nonverbal communication given to you that goes even further back than that one statement he made. It just like reinforced that negative whatever it is, and that has happened to me my entire adult life. I'll be when I used to work in corporate America, I would be thinking I'd be in a meeting and with a bunch of men and basically feeling like they had just told me I had nothing important to say.
Yeah.
Even though they never said it. Yeah. Yeah. So then, as Renee said, you have to look at the statement, take it all the way to the end. So let's say, using my own example, I have nothing to say. What if I didn't have anything to say? What if I was talking and no one listened? What if I created a bunch of Insta stories and no one watched? Now, true story about the Insta stories. When I first started doing the Insta stories, because you can see how many people have viewed, I had 0. And then I had 1. And then I had like 2. Did I die? No. Did I lose an eye? No. What I want you to do when you think about the negative response, because that's basically muscle memory in your brain, is what if that actually happened? What if that really did happen? What would be the absolute worst case scenario? And then I want you to think, okay, so what if it didn't happen? What would be the best case scenario? Because there's always both. There's the worst case, no one's going to hear me. And I'll tell you what, that's harsh. Social media is harsh. They're really mean out there. But the worst case scenario happened for me. I had crickets. The best case scenario is happening now. And it doesn't feel any different than the worst case because the worst case didn't actually hurt me.
Well, and I think you have to remember too, as you go, and it takes a while to learn this, but you're not going to be for everybody. You're just not. Like, I'm not for everybody. Bonnie's not for everybody. There's people out there that are going to be attracted to each of us. And we were sitting together in my house yesterday, and she was helping me work on something. And I said, hey, I'm going to copy some of your wording, but I just want to get something live. I said, I hope you don't think I'm copying you. And she's like, you know what? There's like enough people out there. Some will be attracted to me. Some will be attracted to you. So I think you have to remember that as you do social media or as you do a class or whatever it is. If you get like a negative response from somebody or you don't get enough likes or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that you're not putting out something that's valuable. It's just you haven't found that group that I like to call your tribe, you know? And I think when you can truly be just authentically you and try to let the negativity that sits in our heads or worry about what somebody's going to type about you go, then that's when you really shine because people can truly see you. And that's what they're attracted to.
So you take a look at where you're at right now. Like what has got you stuck right now? whether it be relationships, business-wise, whatever it is. Wanting to maybe do more personal development, but it's almost like you're stuck. You can't do it. Even if it is something as simple as buying a book, or you bought the book, but you can't seem to read it. I mean, what is keeping you stuck right now? Where are you? And where are you stuck? And then I want you to think about what's that negative feeling. Give it a name it, call it out. What is that? What's the fear? Where did it come from? Who told you that? And is it true? Is it true? The thing is that what we do is we go on autopilot. Something happens and we immediately cringe, or we back out of it, or we shut down. We just go on this autopilot. And here's a great example of autopilot. I was talking to a friend, and we were sitting in a hotel room, and there was some construction going on somewhere else in the hotel. And so this banging happened, and I completely lost my train of thought. Now that's happens to everyone, right? But to the point where I couldn't even remember what we were talking about, who had even spoken last. I mean, I had lost all train of thought. Sorry, guys. So I, hold on. Get the dog, I'm texting.
Trying to make you lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
I can't hear. All right. Anyway, so I was so stopped in my tracks that the woman said to me, okay, wait a minute, where did you go just now? And I went, oh my gosh, I'm not exactly sure where I went. Hold on. Because this is all going to show up on the dog. So I'll show up on the recording. So when she asked me where I went in that moment, it dawned on me that my body went onto high alert. Like I'm going, what was that? It wasn't just an interruption like a dog barking where I couldn't get back into the conversation. I literally went on high alert. I went on autopilot, right? My autopilot was built into me when I was 9 years old, and I had been molested as a child. So anytime some loud noise or a banging would happen, my little autopilot came up and went, I'm going to protect you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to protect you. Well, I'm 62 flipping years old, guys. I don't need a 9-year-old protecting me. And because the autopilot was so ingrained, I was always in this high alert mode. I don't need to be in high alert anymore. That negative incident in my life does not need to impact my life now, is my point. That makes sense? You go on autopilot. So once you've figured out where those auto responses are coming from, personal experience of someone else, built into your DNA, and literally, I don't know how many times people have said, even myself, I'm just like my mom. I'm just like my dad. I'm going to tell you that's a lie. There's no truth in that. There's no truth in that because your DNA is different than all of our thumbprints are different. But the next step is actually to create what they call a positive neural pathway. And it's the actual opposite of what you believe to be true that's negative. So back to my example of being startled and not being able to pull myself together, which is kind of an extreme thing, but it happens, right? It's a negative experience that told me I was in danger. The opposite positive of that is that I'm safe. I'm no longer 9. A banging noise in the background isn't someone coming to get me. I'm safe. That's the opposite. So what I want you to do is I want you to take that negative voice in your head and go to the complete opposite of what it should say on a complete positive saying.
And I think you can also take that exact example and do, like, I have this little sticky note that I have on tape to my computer in front of me, and it's pertaining to the business as the example, but I get so wrapped up in how I'm not getting to my goal and how I don't want to go back to corporate America and all these, like, I don't, that I had to write literally and tape it in front of me and say, as if it's already happened, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am this, and I'm, here, and like write out when I got there and all this stuff, and keep saying it as if it's happened on that date in that moment and it's real. And that's the only way. And every time I start going to the negative, or like, I'm never going to get there, another setback, then I have to go back and say this again. So I just keep it taped right there. So you could even not only journal it out or take Bonnie's examples and really deep dive into many things, but you could also tape like one or two specific ones, either to your bathroom mirror or your computer or wherever you're at the most often. And that way you ingrain that message into your head.
Yeah, I actually, like, sometimes I have a dry erase marker in my bathroom, and I'll put a positive thing I need to hear in my head every morning. I just put it on the bathroom. For me, sometimes what it says is, you are diamond.
Mm-hmm.
You are a diamond. 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 I just keep, and so it's not in my mirror right now because the housekeepers came and cleaned my mirror. But it's the same thing as Renee said. You have to reprogram, because it's easy, especially in this business, to say, oh, I've been doing this for 4 years and I'm still a senior star. I'm still an executive. I'm still a star. I'll never get to senior star again. It's so easy to do that. But if you have, I'm a diamond in front of you every morning, guess what? Your brain will remember that. It will create a new muscle memory or a new neural pathway.
And then I think you also have to really be paying attention to the signs. So for me, I've really been trying to connect more on Instagram and find new markets. And so there's this woman who's in Switzerland, and I had always said, I would love to be in Europe. I love traveling there, all this stuff. How cool would it be to have a team there? And so she's not a member yet, but I keep her name written to the side of my computer. I think about her as I go to sleep. I say her name. I picture her on my team. I picture her being, my first silver or platinum in Europe and all those things. And then you're more likely to have that manifest and have that actually happen. If you're so focused on that, it's just as if you were so focused on the negative, then that's what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When it comes to Instagram, that was a steep learning curve for me. I had an Instagram account. I didn't do anything with it. And so when I decided to deep dive into Instagram, I literally, one day I was sitting here and I'm going, I am never going to get this. And I immediately went, what did you just tell yourself, Bonnie? Like, no one's listening to me. It's just me. But what did you just tell yourself? Then I went, no, I've got this. I've got it. I'm going to have 100,000 followers. It's going to be amazing. People are going to want to, ask me to come speak, because I just went like, whoa, I had to take myself. But you've got to catch yourself. Like Renee said, you have to catch yourself in the moment. Because if you don't, that negative neural pathway, and literally, you guys, that's not just a saying. If you understand how the brain is actually designed, it comes from that limbic center of the brain, and it goes out to your body, right? It's the thing that says, it's the thing that, like, when you smell, fresh baked cookies, it takes you to that place of when you were little and making cookies. Or you might smell popcorn and all of a sudden you're like, I want to go to the movies. I mean, it's that literally wired in your body. And you can either wire it positively or you can wire it negatively. And that's your choice. So when I heard myself say, I am never going to get this, this is ridiculous, I just had to like, okay, stop, time out. You think of how many times we tell ourselves it'll never happen, like with the business. I'm just stuck here, it'll never happen. That's a lie. That's a flat out lie. The truth is, it will happen. And we are all capable. And we all have to learn something new. And that's always good. And if we, if you get stuck, you have to think about, okay, why am I stuck? Which is why we're doing this tonight. Like, why am I stuck in this hole that I'm in right now?
I think one other point too, that was kind of an aha moment for me when I was especially taking Kara Kozier's training, which is somebody who's in Young Living as well. But she was saying that you can almost feel the negativity. It can almost be like a shoulder ache or a neck ache, or like if you really paid attention to like the pain that you're feeling in the moment, you can really tell yourself, okay, that's actually programmed into me, that's because of this, and I'm going to just let that go, and then kind of take a deep breath and breathe it out. And it might not be gone, it might still hurt, but you could keep repeating that throughout the day. And I've noticed for me, like I carry a ton of stress on my shoulder, and if I really am focusing on that exercise, I can almost eliminate that pain sometimes from my shoulder just by deep breathing and letting that stuff out of my head.
Yeah, it can, a lot of times people, think about when you're stressed and your stomach gets upset, or it's a little hard to catch your breath. I actually did a post today on, before I actually get up and speak, I literally am shaking. I have a physical reaction to the negative voice in my head that says, no one's going to listen to you. I'm literally shaking. And my mantra when I get up and speak is, do it scared. The worst possible case scenario is everyone in the room gets up and walks out on me. Like, well, that would be bad, but that's never going to happen, right? So that's what it looks like when you really have a physical manifestation, the headache. When you were talking, Renee, I was thinking every night my neck is killing me. Okay, what's that about? I got to go. I just thought I had, cell phone neck or something. I don't know. But it's the truth,
Well, and I think a forum like this just kind of really, for me anyways, when I started talking about this stuff out loud, I really thought it was just me. I thought, like, this is just happening to me. No one else experiences this stuff. And then the more you talk about it, I mean, even if it's a relationship issue or whatever it is, the more you put out there and you're vulnerable with people and just a core group of people, or you really journal about it every day and just keep that to yourself, or whatever works for you, the more you can start to really like transform how you come across to people. I've had a lot of people recently tell me, like, you look so happy, you look this way and that way. And well, for a long time, I was just bogged down in corporate America and I wasn't happy. And so it's like, I'm not making the same money now, and I'm not in a position where maybe I don't have to go back to that one day yet, but I'm choosing to believe that I'm in this positive space and that this is all going to happen in its time. And I'm just kind of trying to live that day to day and just put that out there. And you start to attract people to you, even if it's not about the oils, even if it's about just being a strong woman or being a support system or whatever it is. And then you form those relationships and then it all kind of starts to flow together.
So some very practical steps that we've kind of hit on, but I want to give some practical steps that you can do. And the first one is identify what the actual negative thought is, because sometimes we get scattered, and where it came from. Where did the negative thought come from? And then I want you to go to that positive thought. Using my own example, the negative thought, if I get up and speak, everyone's going to leave the room. No one wants to hear me. Where did it come from? It came from being in a massive Italian family and being told to be quiet for a moment. Hold on, don't talk. That's where I got that from. Was it true? To my little face, it was. But is it true no one's ever going to listen to me again? No. What's the opposite of that? I will actually have people calling and asking me to come speak at their event. That's the opposite, right? So my positive statement to myself is, you're going to be a high valued paid professional speaker. That's my positive affirmation to myself. So that's the first piece. The next thing is, say it out loud. Actually say it out loud. When you speak something into the universe actually hears you. There's that whole self-fulfilling prophecy thing. And it actually is a real thing, because our minds will do what it hears. So if you actually say out loud, like I did, I'm never going to get this. Oh my gosh, my mind just believed it. So I immediately had to go to the positive. So say the positive statement out loud. A lot of people talk about doing vision boards. And I actually have a vision board, a little different than most. But I will stand and I will read my vision board out loud. And then do what Renee's done. Write it down on a piece of paper and put it where you can see it every day. Put the positive affirmations where you can see them every single day. And then take the steps that you need, whatever that is, to believe it. And what will happen is, if you see it every day, if you say it out loud every day, I have been, where is it? It's over there. I have been wearing Into the Future, the oil blend, every single day, along with Abundance and Believe. Because it gives me all the encouragement. I feel like I could go out and conquer the world. And I've also noticed, because all of that hits that limbic center of the brain, I am having less negative thoughts. I'm much more positive about a lot of different things in a lot of different areas. So take steps to allow yourself to rewire, because you literally can remove the negative neural pathway, but you have to be persistent and consistent. If that requires you to learn a new skill, learn the new skill. If it requires you to take a course in personal development, read another book. Whatever it takes, take the step, because what that does is it enforces the positive pathway that you're trying to create. And the funny thing about it is, I have been trying to get rid of the negative thoughts in my head for most of my life. I didn't even know what they were, but now that I do, I'm like really working hard at it. They're really deeply ingrained. They run deep. They have deep roots. One all the way back to 9 years old, where I wasn't safe anymore. So you have to be diligent and persistent. That's why, writing them down on a board, writing them down, putting it where you can see it. I am good enough. I am smart enough. I will be a diamond. I am a diamond. All those things. Because if you don't write them down, your brain isn't going to see it. If you don't say them out loud, your brain isn't going to hear it and it won't believe you.
And I think visualizing too, what that looks like. So if you're saying that, I'm a diamond. So for me, I have one where I've written that I'm a platinum in October 2019. I'm standing in Laguna Beach. I'm on the sand. I can feel the sand in my toes. I see the sun setting. I have my core group of people that are all in California. We're all cheersing together. So like making it so real in your head that it becomes real. I repeat that to myself every single day. That same exact thing that I just said, just repeat it every single day.
Yeah, that's really good, Renee. I'm a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back from convention last year, I bought the dress I'm going to wear to the diamond dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll fit into it, but that's a whole other story. It's one of those ones where when you buy it overseas, it's like your size, but it's 2 sizes too small. That's ridiculous. Anyway, but I'm a visual person. I have that dress hanging in my closet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Visualize what it will look like. One of the gals that hit diamond last year, she was sharing that in the beginning of the year, she told herself that when she hits diamond, she was going to go to Paris by herself. Renee, do you remember who that was?
I don't remember her name, but I remember the story.
Yeah. So she visualized it so much that she even bought a plane ticket. She bought the plane ticket for November 1st. She hit diamond rank on October 31st. Got on a plane to Paris by herself the next day. There, you can manifest success, but you have to work at it. So anyway, so I hope the steps are helpful. Renee, did you have the notes from Lindsay's talk? Because I think this is it. These are the notes. Positive emotions, think positively and fuel it by doing something positive every day. That was the first one.
That makes sense.
So do something you enjoy, something that, something that sparks joy, something that is very positive every day. And then declare your goals out loud. That's where I got that from. Every single morning. Every single morning. Your subconscious will hear it. Your mind will start, eventually your mind will start shifting from, it will never happen, to, oh, I'm a diamond. It'll automatically shift. Renee, not Renee, Kimberly, my gosh. Kimberly, who was out here this last summer, she said to me, Bonnie, you act like a diamond. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she said, well, you do things that, like you're already at that rank. And I know it's because I've been telling myself I'm a diamond for a long time. I'm a diamond, I'm a diamond, I'm a diamond, right? So say those things out loud every day, and then visualize what it'll look like, just like what Renee did. Renee's on that beach. Can it be really expensive champagne, Renee? Yeah, I'm there. In crystal. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay. Visualize it. Like when she was telling what she's going to do, I was right there with her. Visualize what it looks like and take 10 or 15 minutes a day and do it. Sit there and go, like, I can see myself in that dress. In fact, I have been telling myself so long I'm a diamond, and I have that dress hanging in my closet. The other night, I had a dream that Jeff and I were standing just on the outside waiting for our names to be announced to walk across that diamond stage at convention. And he looks really good in a tux, you guys. But I almost want to get him to wear his military uniform because he can rock that. I call it the Top Gun white uniform. He can rock that thing. Anyway, but that's how much I have been visualizing that. Well, I dreamt it. So visualize it. Give yourself, I swear, 10 to 15 minutes every day. And picture what it's going to look like. I always put up the commission post, and I always kind of say, like, this is what I'm going to do with my money. Usually I get my nails done, get my hair done. You know, it pays for, put gas in my car. I have coffee with a few friends. I actually am visualizing what that big diamond check is going to look like when it hits my account and what I'm going to do with it. And then the last thing is to meditate. So when forming a new positive neural pathway, you have to get yourself to go from the autopilot of the negative to the autopilot of the positive. And one of the disciplines that will do that is meditation. And meditation can be just sitting quietly. And I just started doing yoga, and I love the breathing of yoga. It just slows the whole body down. Kathy's smiling at me because that breathing of yoga just slows everything down. And so meditate on that positive affirmation. So you're gonna physically see what you want, and then you're gonna spend 10 minutes meditating on that every single day. Do you remember the other things that she said?
Don't.
Yeah. I took a lot of notes on that too. I know you watched that story of hers. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the 4 steps that she had said, and I think I kind of actually put those in our notes, Renee. If you have to do a next step, if you have to create and carve out 10 to 20 minutes of your day, if that means you have to go sit in your car because the kids are noisy, or take a 20-minute drive so that you can, or a 2-minute drive so you can sit for 20 minutes someplace where it's quiet, then do it, because it's totally worth it.
I think this is good, and I think we could come back if we want to do this monthly and practice all these steps, and then
I would love to get us back together in a month, because you guys, you know what you heard in your head. If you wrote it down, excellent. If you take those 4 steps, which are, whoops, lost them.
the negative thought and positive thought.
Thank you. Yeah.
And saying it out loud, and then
right, saying it out loud. Do the visualization, just like Renee did for us, which was amazing, because I can taste the champagne. And then meditate. As you meditate and you allow that new positive affirmation to become ingrained during that time of meditation. And for me, that also turns into a time of prayer. So if you're a prayer, is that a word? Then pray. Because that usually what happens to me is it turns into a time of prayer. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very helpful. Thank you.
And we will we'll schedule another one. What I'd like you guys to do is when we do the next one, if you can maybe just share 1 or 2 things that you're working on or that have worked for you, that would be really encouraging for all of us to hear that. And then we can go a little deeper into some of the other areas. Zoom limits us, although I did get a notice that they took our 40-minute limit off. So we're still recording. I see the little flashy button. So anyway, but I'm going to upload this, God willing, that if my computer will let me upload it. And I'll put it on the Be Essentially Connected page so that you can go back and refer back to it if you want to, and then anyone else can go ahead and listen to it. All right, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Popping in.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.